I'm going to talk about the diagram in the sand, why theatre is a force for good. Theatre is generous and very much a force for good. Theatre is imaginative, playful, creative, cooperative, and disciplined. As human beings, we're all creative. We're constantly thinking new things, having new ideas, inventing new things. But as children, we're curious and imaginative and creative. But as we get older, our education system perhaps makes us more afraid of failure and taking risks as we strive to get it right for those all-important exams that we take. But that perhaps is another TED talk. Albert Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge. And indeed, imagination is very important in the theatre because drama and theatre lets us play, and through playing we learn, and through learning and playing we find ourselves. One of my favourite plays is Our Country's Good by Timberlake, Wertenbaker. It's based on a true story of the first penal colony in Australia. A group of convicts put on the play The Recruiting Officer, directed by a young Lieutenant Ralph Clark. It's the idea of the governor of the colony, Arthur Phillip, a man ahead of his time who believes in the power of redemption rather than brutal punishment. It's opposed by many of the officers. Will Dawes says, put the play on, don't put it on, but it won't change the shape of the universe. But the young Ralph Clark believes it could change the nature of our little society. And Captain Arthur Phillip says, the theatre is an expression of civilization. We belong to a great country that has spawned great playwrights. The play is performed eventually against all the odds, and it's very successful. The convicts learn to work as a team, they learn to support one another, they learn empathy and compassion. They learn not to think about themselves, they learn to be generous, they learn to work for the greater good, and most importantly, they learn that they want to work for the greater good. So in the play, Timberlake Wertenbaker shows us the power of theatre, the redemptive power of theatre. In a pivotal scene where Ralph wants to give up, he goes to see His Excellency Arthur Phillip, and His Excellency persuades him to carry on.
Sit down, Lieutenant. It is a matter of reminding the slave of what he knows, of his own intelligence. And by intelligence, you may read of talent, goodness, the innate qualities of human beings.
I see, sir.
When he treats the slave boy as a rational human being, the boy becomes one. He loses his fear, and he becomes a competent mathematician. A little more encouragement, and he becomes an extraordinary mathematician. Who knows? You must see your actors in this light.
I can see some of them, sir. But there are others. John Arscott.
Ah, he has been given 200 lashes for trying to escape. It will take time for him to see himself as a human being again.
Liz Morden?
Liz Morden, yes. I had a reason for asking you to cast her as Melinda. Morden is one of the most difficult women in the colony.
She is indeed, sir.
Lower than a slave, full of loathing, foul-mouthed, desperate.
Exactly, sir, and
Quite
violent.
to be made an example of.
By hanging.
No, Lieutenant, by redemption.
The Reverend says he's given
The
up on us, sir.
Reverend is an ass, Lieutenant. I am speaking of redeeming her humanity.
I'm afraid there may not be much there, sir.
How do we know what humanity lies hidden under the rags and filth of a mangled life? I have seen souls given up for dead, limbs torn, heads cut open, come back to life. If we treat her as a corpse, then of course she will die. Try a little kindness, Lieutenant.
But will she be hanged, sir?
I don't want a woman to be hanged. You'll have to help me, Ralph.
Yes, sir.
I retired from His Majesty's service. I was farming, Ralph. I had no idea why they asked me to rule over this colony of wretched souls, that I will fulfill my responsibility. No one will stop me.
No, sir, but I don't see...
What is a statesman's responsibility? To ensure the rule of law. But a citizen has to be taught to obey that law of their own will. I want to rule over responsible human beings, not tyrannize over a group of animals. I want there to be a contract between us, not a whip on my side and terror and hatred on theirs. And you must help me, Ralph.
Yes, sir. The play, though...
The play won't change much. But it is the diagram in the sand that might just remind the slave boy. Do you understand?
And I leave you with this final thought. The real act of discovery lies not in finding new lands, but in seeing with new eyes. And that is what theatre does. Thank you.